So here's a wild story for you. Out in Gary, Indiana, a family says their house is infested with demons. Okay, you've heard stories like that before, but that's not the really strange part. The strange part is that the police, child services, and even hospital staff ended up documenting it. I'm talking about an official government case file on a haunting, which gets you wondering, how on earth does that happen?
I want you to remember this number, 800. That is roughly how many pages of official records exist for this case. We're talking police reports, DCS notes, hospital charts, the works. So this isn't just some ghost story people told their friends. Nope. This became a legitimate government file.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? That's the big question we're going to dive into. How does a family's private terror, a story filled with demons and possession, get so tangled up with the very agencies we count on to be objective and fact-based?
Okay, let's set the scene. It's November 2011. Latoya Ammons and her 3 kids move into this little rental house on Carolina Street in Gary, Indiana. They're probably thinking it's a fresh start, but what they thought was a new beginning, well, it turned into an absolute nightmare pretty fast. The first sign that something was seriously off was just bizarre. It's the middle of a freezing cold December, and suddenly their screened-in porch is swarming with hundreds of huge black flies. Latoya's mom, Rosa Campbell, even said in a report, "This is not normal." She said they just kept coming back, no matter how many they swatted down.
Well, after the flies, things took a much darker turn. It started with things you might expect in a scary story, hearing footsteps coming up from the basement, seeing shadowy figures moving around the house. But then it escalated. The family started claiming that the children were being physically attacked by some kind of unseen force. They were terrified, and they started reaching out for help.
And this, right here, is where this story goes from a spooky tale to something completely different. It wasn't just the family's word against, well, nothing anymore. Their private nightmare was about to become a very public, very official record.
I mean, just look at this list. We're not talking about a couple of curious police officers. We're talking about the Department of Child Services. We're talking about doctors and nurses at the local hospital, the Gary PD, and even the juvenile court system. All of these agencies got involved, and they are all legally required to document everything. The real game changer, the moment everything shifted, didn't even happen in the house. It happened in a hospital. The family was there for an evaluation in March of 2012, and some things went down that were so unusual, they were witnessed and then written down by a hospital caseworker and medical staff. People trained to be objective observers.
So what did those official reports actually say? I mean, this is the good stuff, right? The details that these professionals put on paper are exactly what makes this case so incredibly compelling.
This right here is probably the most jaw-dropping claim in that entire 800-page file. A veteran DCS caseworker, a woman named Valerie Washington, along with a hospital nurse, reported seeing Latoya's 9-year-old son walk backwards up a wall, do a flip over his grandmother, and land perfectly on his feet. And get this, they said he never even let go of her hand. This wasn't the family saying it happened. This was in an official government report.
And it wasn't just the caseworkers. The police got pulled in too. The Gary police captain, Charles Austin, a guy with 36 years on the force, he was a total skeptic at first, but after he went to the house on Carolina Street himself to investigate, he was so shaken by what he experienced that he went on record saying he became a true believer that something demonic was in that house.
And the official file is filled with more stuff like this. You've got medical staff reporting they saw the youngest son get lifted up and thrown into a wall when no one was even near him. The police recorded an interview where you can hear a mysterious voice whisper, "Hey," in the background. Their own photos of the basement show these weird cloudy formations, and one officer's audio recorder just died on the spot, even with fresh batteries.
But here's the thing. That official file, it tells another story too. For every single report that seems to point to something paranormal, there's another entry that suggests a much more down-to-earth explanation, that maybe this was all just a hoax.
And what's so wild is that the arguments for both sides come from the exact same set of official reports. It's crazy. On one side, you've got doctors and police officers witnessing impossible things. On the other, you've got notes in the file that the family was behind on rent and psychologists saying the kids were being deceptive. It's like you're reading 2 completely different case files, but nope, it's all the same one. So the people pushing back against the paranormal story, they had 3 main points, all pulled from that same record. First, the landlord confirmed the family was behind on their rent, which could suggest a motive. Second, psychologists who evaluated the kids concluded they were acting deceptively, basically performing for the adults. And maybe the biggest point of all, nobody who lived in that house before or after the Ammons family ever reported a single strange thing.
So whether you believe it was a demon or a deception, it almost doesn't matter, because the case itself took on a life of its own. It left a legacy that went way beyond just Gary, Indiana.
So here's how it all wrapped up, officially at least. A Catholic priest, with the church's permission, performed several exorcisms. The court actually ordered the family to move, specifically citing the paranormal activity. Once they relocated, the official DCS case was closed. But then, in 2014, the Indianapolis Star newspaper broke the story, and this local mystery just exploded into an international sensation. And you can really see the journey this case took. It's pretty wild. It starts with these exorcisms back in 2012. Then the media frenzy hits in 2014. By 2016, a famous paranormal investigator actually buys the house and has it demolished for a documentary. And now, it's been adapted into a major movie. The Demon House of Gary has become a permanent piece of modern horror lore.
Which really just leaves us with this final thought. The house on Carolina Street. It's gone. Demolished. The official case files are closed and collecting dust. But that central mystery is still there. When the official record, the papers we're supposed to trust for the truth, is filled with accounts of the impossible, witnessed by professionals, where do you even begin to look for what really happened?